G'day everyone. I've noticed I'm doing this video up because of what's been happening these past couple of years and what's really being pushed now for the future. I've just read that the Albanese Labor Government, they haven't been in power for very long, only a few weeks now, maybe a month. They're attacking one of the instrumental programs that helps kids and parents in Australia. They're going to dump the compulsory religious element of the National School Chaplaincy program. So they want to have school chaplaincy by the sounds of it, but without any religious element. This scheme already supports more than 3,000 school communities across Australia, and they want to do away with the chaplains, the religious chaplains, and bring in what are they called? Counsellors. Their reckoning is that public schools are no place for religious proselytising and instruction, which I vehemently oppose that. Our schools have always had a Christian element to them since they were first started up, since the very first education place in Australia was started. And carrying on to that, also that the federal government, is looking at bringing in legislation so schools of faith-based schools cannot employ solely faith or employees with a faith-based worldview. Now, that's not just Christianity. That would be Muslim schools as well, or Islamic schools, not being able to employ solely Islamists because of their views. They won't be able to say no either, and Christian schools won't be allowed to teach solely biblical views, which is, when you think about it, that's the whole reason why that school is there to start with. It's a private school, it's not a public school. It doesn't get full funding from the government, so the government should just stick its nose out of where it doesn't belong, and it's not needed. We all know that if schools have to then come under this new legislation, especially for the chaplains, then these bully, thuggish activists like from Get Up and the LGBTI mob and things like that, they are going to bully the schools, the principals, the P&C associations to not employ chaplains, regardless of how effective the chaplains have been in the past. I know many chaplains, and I know the good they have done in mainly Queensland schools, because that's the only ones I know, but I know they do a fantastic job. So this whole farce, it's these people I put at the beginning of the video, they're really trying to push the decline of religious faith, the decline of population by any means, and the decline of people having a say and people owning anything. So what are we going to do about this? Are we just going to all sit back and take it like we have been? Or are we going to call these public enemies out for what they've done and what they plan to do to us? Either way, the ball is in your court. It's up to the people to start voicing their opinions fully, not just the small groups, not so small groups, but the groups who have been fighting the vaccine mandates and things like that. I applaud them. They have gone above and beyond to try and help people. It's just everybody needs to stand together on this, otherwise our country, our world is going to go downhill very quickly under the power of that one world government that Klaus Schwab so greatly wants. I think the biggest problem with many of this is that there are a lot of aspects that these people in power don't look at. They get told one thing by one group, like the United Nations or World Health Organization, and they dismiss the views of professionals like Dr. Robert Malone. There was a petition recently went into Yvette Dath in the Queensland Parliament. She's the Minister for Health and Ambulance Services, and with the ambulance ramping and everything like that, she's definitely not doing a very good job. But there was a petition recently where people signed the petition to try and stop giving really young children the juice for this nasty thing that's going around at the moment. This Yvette Dath has turned around, and I quote this: although most children will only experience mild illness if they contract CV-19, some will experience more serious symptoms. Recent data estimates 1% of children with the Omicron variant require admission to hospital. Approximately 1 in 100,000 children infected with CV-19 have died. Vaccinations remain the most effective tool available to prevent infection and severe illness in children and adults. This next bit really makes me laugh. Vaccinating children also reduces the risk that they will become infected and spread COVID-19. It's been known for at least a year now that these vaccines will not stop these kids or these adults from getting infected, not stop the spread to family members, friends. But that is what Yvette Dath is saying to us in this official letter from Parliament. This minimises the disruptions to education, extracurricular and social activities, which can impact the well-being of the children and their families. So, not long-term effects can be for these children, but they just lie to us constantly in saying that they will reduce the risk of becoming infected and spreading, which is false. That is just lies. Now, we all know Klaus Schwab, the one who's professing to us that we will own nothing and we will be happy for it. Well, guess what, Klaus? I've got my faith. You will never ever steal that from me. And that is pretty much all I need, because my faith will provide. The Lord will provide for me. We will not be able to do anything without these social credit systems that China's got. Now, Centrelink in Australia, the government welfare organisation, are bringing in social credit scoring for people on payments from them. Now, these people, they're going to have to jump through hoops and get these points before they'll be allowed to get their payment each month. Now, that's wrong. That's just going to cause a lot of turmoil in society, especially with the way things are at the moment, where people have lost their jobs, due to COVID, people have lost their businesses due to COVID, people have lost, I shouldn't be saying due to COVID, I should be saying due to the state and federal governments, shouldn't I? Because it's the likes of Anastasia Palaszczuk that actually caused people in Queensland to lose their jobs, lose their businesses, and in many cases to lose their life, because there was total despair. So many people committed suicide, and that's sad. But the government doesn't care about that, especially the state government. They're the boss. They make the rules, and we just follow them, or we're supposed to follow them. Anthony Albanese, the leader of the Australian Labor Party, now the Australian Prime Minister, he has got to be the number one enemy of all Christians and all people of faith in Australia. He says he was brought up in a low-income single parent home, but so what? He's joined the Labor Party. He's now all for abortions. And that's right up to birth, which means that if a baby is born on the table after a tried abortion, but the baby still survives healthy, then that baby will be left on the table to die. Now, that's, in my eyes, that's murder. And I can't understand how all these doctors and nurses and midwives can support the Labor Party for their views on that alone. Now, he's the one implementing, or his government's the one implementing this chaplaincy program being abolished. He's the one, or his parties are the ones that are wanting to introduce this bill that schools of faith can't only employ people who are conversant and followers of that faith, which I don't see how a school of faith can operate if they've got all these people with immoral views and immoral lifestyles living or teaching at the school, and not teaching the school's ethos, the Bible's ethos in many of the cases, and with Islam, the Quran's ethos. I'd like to know, why aren't the Islamists in Australia jumping up and down, these clerics and jumping up and down about these laws? Islam is very, very intolerant of Christians, homosexuals, and pretty much anyone who isn't a Muslim. So that's a red flag in itself. So we need to start asking questions to the right people, asking the right questions. In ending, thanks very much everyone for listening to my, I'll say rant, but it wasn't really, because everything that I've said is actually happening in this deluded, morally bankrupt world that we're now living in, and we just need to fix it. So I wish you all the best. I hope and pray that your lives stay stable, but with the way things are going, I really can't see it. And to all the Christians out there who are watching this, then I pray for you all that your faith will stay strong and you will not follow watered down pastors, watered down doctrine, and you follow what the Bible says, because that is the Lord's word. God bless everyone.